It's March, 21st of March to be precise. And I don't know if this is going to be the last update or not for a while. I figured out my ship's deployment schedule and it's all the damn time. It's not going to the yard for a long time, and that's not something I'm going to discuss on the internet. So you'll see me, and then you won't see me, and then you won't see me for a really, really long time. And then when I get back, I'll be back for a little while. It's going to be bouncing all over the place. So we'll see how all that goes. I did pick up some stuff. I don't have that VP9 I put on layaway home yet because they were having a sale there, and in order to save money, which I need to do, I didn't take it off layaway because I would have put another gun on layaway and bought two guns on the way out because they had 10% off all of their used guns, and again, they have a ton of HKs. I did, however, pick up two of the AC magazines because their packages were jacked up. They dropped the price a touch, which was livable. These things are super expensive. I don't know how many of these I'm actually going to have when I finally get the Hunter chassis. The reason for that is I'm going to pick up a bunch of the 5-round mags, but the 10s are really kind of situational. You don't know when you're going to always have that clearance. If you're shooting at a down angle, it doesn't matter, but if you're having to, like, get as low as you can to get a slightly higher shot, then these might not be as advantageous as they appear. So I did pick up two though. There were two there and they were both on sale, so I picked them up, which, take it or leave it, I guess. I am doing that Hunter chassis, so that's my primary main objective. So I went to the range, and it's not a range I usually go to, so I didn't film anything, and it would have been very frustrating anyway. I would have ended up with well over an hour of footage for really boring stuff. Sighting in a rifle is really boring. That said, the range was alright. I don't know if I'd recommend it. Most of the range people were cool. It's a very, very, very regulated and structured range. It's funny because most of us that are in the military that wanted structure in our lives, we hate authority. So when somebody starts talking crazy to you, you kind of want to, like, in your head, everybody does this, so it's going to sound really power trippy, but just follow me through to conclusion here. It's hard for, someone like me who's a staff grade NCO, for those of you in the Army and the Marine Corps, or, even a senior NCO, to sit there and have someone who's, like, not even remotely experienced in anything sit there and tell you something or start talking crap to you or trying to put their hands on you or like, touching your stuff or anything like that. So when they start getting crazy, you're like, who are you exactly? So luckily that didn't happen too much. The last RSO I had to deal with was a female, which normally isn't a problem, but she had stuff to prove, so she was kind of over-representing herself, which is fine in any other situation, but one I'm involved in, I guess. I didn't want to deal with it. So I got out of there a little faster. What I will say is I tried to sight this thing in at 100 with a 4-power scope. Now, for some of you armchair commandos out there, I know that you can shoot a sub-MOA group at 300 meters with iron sights. But for the regular guys out there, and even though I'm an expert marksman by the Navy standards consistently, sighting in with a 4-power scope off a bench and using their little fugly thing that they had was very difficult. I couldn't get comfortable, and I know these are excuses, I get it. And if it was an actual target I was engaging, I would have canceled that threat. But I didn't get a tiny group to my satisfaction, and I don't necessarily like the adjustment range of that scope. I know half MOA adjustments are preferable for some people. Some people like quarter. I gotta say, I want to switch to a mil first off, and this is a 55 grain scope, which doesn't mean I can't shoot 77, which is exactly what I was doing. But what it does mean is the ballistic drop compensator, the BDC reticle, is designed for 55 grain. So those holdovers are designed for a specific zero and for a specific grain weight bullet to compensate for the drop. So what I think I'm going to do is Trijicon came out with a new AccuPower, the 1-8. I think this is going to get a Trijicon AccuPower 1-8 because this is more of a Ricky rifle for me. It's a little heavier than an assaulter's rifle, and a 1-8 will give me the range I need. If I don't get that, I'll probably get the Trijicon VCOG, even though it's a 1-6. They make them calibrated for 77 grain ammo. One way or another though, this is going to be wearing a Trijicon something. I was going to put the similar 1-4 on there, and I don't think 1-4 is bad. It's not bad for a fighting rifle, to be honest with you. If you're doing most anything, you know, and you want to do everything decent, then a 1-4 is going to get a lot done for you. But what I will say is, there were limitations with this scope. I had to screw with the eyepiece more than I wanted to. I'm just full of excuses. It was a bad range day, and I even had to stop myself. And it's funny because I stacked this beautiful group, right? Even for a 100-yard zero, I stacked this pretty nice group. It was a pretty respectable 1-inch group. I had 2 rounds on top of each other in one flyer, and with 77 grain ammo, I was shooting the Black Hills stuff and pretty much these two. I was shooting these two. Both solid performers. And I'll tell you that shooting, this is exactly the round count I shot. These are 2 new boxes, but I shot 70 rounds and I wasted probably about 50 of them. I'm going to re-zero this, which is going to cost me more money, but I'm going to re-zero it at 50 for 2 reasons. One, a 4 power at 50 will give me a pretty flat trajectory, and I know that's more for 55 and not 77, so I'm going to have to use the calculator to figure out what my holds are. Long story short though, I'm dropping the 4 power off this. This is either getting a 6 power or an 8 power because, and I'll get into this more when I do a final review on it, this is going to be a Ricky rifle. Just because that's what it's suited for. It's perfect for it. It's nice and heavy and stable, so when you put it somewhere, it cycles perfect. So we're going to do the 50-yard zero for now, and then when I get where I'm going and I start putting nice glass on everything, then we'll worry about what zero to use with what optic with the 77 grain ammo. I will say this thing is much more capable than I am, and I'm not cranking out the hits that I should be every single time because I'm either rushing or I'm not respecting the rifle. And I've noticed with this trigger, it's a lot better than I give it credit for. And it's actually a pretty good stock trigger. I'm not going to lie to you. The 2-stage is great for accuracy shooting. I also get why people put hair triggers in their precision rifles. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm not changing anything on the rifle except the glass and the mount. We're going to start there and then see where it goes. I don't know if I'm going to put the Geissele in there or not. I don't know if I want to mess with that. Plus, I'm going to have more of these MRs in the future because it's a great rifle. And yes, it's wet, because I don't know when I'm going to shoot it again. I also ran Harambe, which is what this gun's name is, which is cool because the date code is BG for Big Gorilla. How you doing? It's kind of an inside joke, and one of my buddies absolutely hates how far the Harambe stuff has gone, but I usually name my guns after women that I find attractive in some way, shape, or form, and or if their attitude fits the firearm in a way. But this one I decided to name Harambe because reasons. I don't really need to get into it. I don't want you guys losing any more respect for me than you already have. I took this to the range and I kind of talked to a guy. There was a big discussion on HK Pro about these Troy backup sights, and he said that they didn't have enough in them to get the zero that he wanted, and I kind of didn't understand it at first, and I have to admit my naivete, because I was like, well, on the MR556, the zero is fine. I have that's a pun, isn't it? I have no problem with the zero capabilities of the irons on the 556. Switched to the 7.62, however, I shot 20 rounds. It functioned fine, great shooting rifle. I can't wait to put the Steiner T5XI on top of it and start just absolutely center punching bad guy targets. But The irons, out of those 20 shots, I put 2 on paper, and they were at the very top of the target. I was using these rifle targets both for the 5.56 and the 7.62 because they have 1-inch grid patterns, and I could dial in the minute of angle on that vortex. So we're talking hits up here. I thought it was the hole in the target. Like, I walked up, my hold was here. I was lollipopping it, but I left a little space just to see where it printed. All of them were up here. So I don't think, which isn't a huge deal, and I'll get into that simultaneously, but I don't think these Troys are good for a 308 rifle. I think the velocity and all the power and all that crap with a 308 is a lot different than a 5.56. I know a lot of you that are seasoned shooters are like, no duh, retard. This isn't my first rodeo with a gun like this. In fact, those of you that watched my channel a long time ago before I took everything down knew that I had a very, very deep love affair with both the M1A and the FAL. You'll be seeing an FAL from me here soon. We'll get into that later. It's going to be a long process for me to liberate that FAL. But once I get it, you'll see it, and I'll be running it. And I have a big soft spot for the FAL and the M1A. The M1A shoots very, very flat. The M1As I've shot the most are, I shot one 24-inch, one full-length barrel, and then I've fired 3 samples of the SOCOM 2 or SOCOM 16. SOCOM 2 in my hands it's something like it's supposed to be. I can run that thing like crazy. Now, fast forward to this gun. I have every reason to believe that if I was able to shoot from the standing and run this thing like I run other guns, it would have been fine. But the fact that these irons are like this, and I experienced this with the FAL as well, you would be way under the target at certain ranges, touch off a shot, and hit super high. I think that has everything to do with the way the sights are zeroed. And I imagine that because it's a 308 or 7.62 by 51, I could probably very easily, with the irons where they're at, stretch it out to 300, 400, and probably hit what I'm trying to hit. But things happened. One, I wanted to make sure I sighted in the MR5.56. Two, I didn't want to be there too much longer because I was getting fed up. And 3, I didn't have the front sight adjustment tool for this. So I don't know if I'm out of front sight adjustment. And every rifle I have will have the Troy sights as backup sights, so it will be intelligent of me in the future to make sure they're zeroed properly. But this rifle right here and the next one I'm getting to do a G28 clone, these are going to be designated marksman rifles, and they'll be wearing serious glass. Under no circumstances would I be taking the glass off. If it breaks, then I guess, but in reality, the glass isn't going to clear these iron sights, so I'm going to have to get rid of them. Down to is I got to put some serious hard use glass on here, which is going to be the Steiner T5XI, and on the G28 clone it has to be a Schmidt & Bender. I'm also going to be picking up a Night Force Attacker F1 4-16. Those two are going to be my primary scopes, and then I'll be picking up one that's a lot more heavy duty for my bolt action, so probably something in the 20 to 25 magnification range. But there's that. Leave Texas next month. I'm taking my guns out, my handguns definitely twice. I got to shoot that new VP9 that I'll have in a bit, and I'll probably be taking out the rifles one more time. I have a few more updates coming with handguns, and I'll do this one right now. I got the case for the Legion, and I honestly have to say I was not happy about paying $92 for a frickin' case and a coin. What I will say is, this is the nicest case. Uh-oh, you guys caught me doing blasphemy. This is the nicest case I have for any handgun. And it should be for the amount of money I paid for it. But the fit is perfect. Like, it's attention to keep it in there. And it's not marking the case up every time you take the stuff out. These are super tight when they're loaded, but they fit. I might try to get the knife. I would much rather have the X300 and stuff it there, but I think the X300 is too small for this little cutout. But this is an absolutely nice case. The coin's cute. I didn't really need it, but again, I'm gonna nerd out with one of them, so I'm gonna get all the accessories that I'd want to get for one with the Legion crap, and then every other one's gonna be a copy. So we'll see how that goes. And I might as well put it in the frame while I sign off. I gotta say, it's gonna kind of suck real bad for me to be leaving Texas, but this is where I'm gonna hang my hat. I've got just a little bit over 9 years left in the Navy before I can hit 20 and retire, and I think that's what I'm gonna do. I'd have to make some serious rank to stay in any longer than 20. Like, it would have to really, really benefit me to stay. But I plan on doing a few more things before I leave Texas. I'll probably drop a whole bunch of videos before leaving. And I'll be shooting videos as soon as I'm set up where I'm going. But I gotta be honest with you, that's gonna be a very long time. And you're not hearing anything from me until I get where I'm going, have my house set up, everything squared away, and I can do my thing. So just be prepared for that. Thanks for sticking with me. Thanks for watching. Take care of each other, stay safe, and support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America.